The US dollar will crash. Not slowly, not politely, and not in a way most people expect. When it happens, it won't look like a movie scene with riots and fire. It will look like groceries costing double, rent exploding, savings shrinking, and everyone asking the same question too late. How did this happen so fast? Because the dollar does not collapse in one day. It collapses in confidence, and confidence is already cracking. Right now, the world runs on one promise, that the US dollar is stable, that US debt is safe, that US money is trustworthy. Everything in global trade depends on this belief. Oil is priced in dollars, debt is issued in dollars, reserves are held in dollars. Countries store dollars like insurance. But here is the uncomfortable truth. That belief is ending, not emotionally, structurally. The U.S. government is drowning in debt, more than $30 trillion and climbing. Every year requires more borrowing just to function. Interest alone is becoming one of the largest expenses in the entire budget. This is not a political issue, it is a math issue. You cannot borrow forever without consequence. You cannot print forever without dilution. And you cannot promise stability while destroying purchasing power. The dollar is being used to solve every problem. War, pandemics, bank failures, recessions. Every solution is the same. Print more. And every time that happens, the value of the dollar quietly leaks away. That is the fear. Your money buys less. Your savings shrink. Your labor is diluted. This is not collapse yet. This is erosion. And erosion always looks harmless until the ground gives way. Now here's the part most people miss. The world is no longer willing to trust one country with a global currency. China, Russia, the Middle East, and emerging economies are all building systems to trade without dollars. Bilateral trade agreements, commodity-backed deals, local currencies for oil and gas. This is not ideology, it is survival. Because when the U.S. prints, every country holding dollars pays the price. Inflation is exported, and countries are done paying. This is the beginning of de-dollarization, not a collapse in one night, but a slow exit. And slow exits always become fast exits once fear spreads. Now imagine what happens when one major shock hits. A banking crisis, a war escalation, a debt panic, a bond market failure. Suddenly the world questions the dollar. And when trust breaks, capital runs. Not into stocks, not into bonds, into alternatives. This is where the hope appears. When one system weakens, another replaces it. The dollar won't be replaced by one thing. It will be replaced by a mix of three forces: hard assets, digital systems, and multipolar currencies. First, hard assets. Gold and silver are already being hoarded by central banks, not talked about, accumulated. Why? Because gold has no counterparty risk. It cannot be printed, it cannot default, it cannot be hacked. When trust dies, hard assets rise. This is not nostalgia. This is instinct. Second, digital rails. Not crypto as hype, crypto as infrastructure. When currencies fail, people need systems that move value outside government control. Fast, global, permissionless. This doesn't mean Bitcoin replaces the dollar overnight. It means Bitcoin absorbs fear, just like gold once did. Digital scarcity becomes psychological shelter. Third, multipolar money. The future is not one reserve currency, it is several. Regional blocks trading in their own units, commodity-backed settlements, currency baskets. The dollar becomes just another currency instead of the currency. That is the crash, not destruction, demotion, from king to participant. Now let's talk about the emotional moment. The dollar won't fall because of an announcement. It will fall because people feel unsafe. When inflation spikes again, when banks wobble, when debt becomes headline news, when politicians argue instead of solve. People don't read balance sheets, they read fear, and fear spreads faster than policy. This is why the crash will feel sudden. One year, everything seems fine. The next year, prices double, savings melt, and confidence is gone. That is how every currency collapse works, not through explosion, through realization. Now, here is the personal side. If the dollar weakens, your life changes. Your paycheck buys less, your rent costs more, your food costs more, your energy costs more. It feels like running uphill on sand. This is why the middle class is disappearing, because currency collapse is invisible theft. No one announces it, no one votes on it, but everyone pays for it. Now here is the opportunity. This transition creates winners, not the powerful, the prepared. Those who understand that money is changing, those who diversify out of pure dollar exposure, those who own things instead of promises. The people who win are not the ones who panic, they are the ones who adapt early. Now imagine the timeline. The first stage is denial. This will never happen. The dollar is too strong. It's always been this way. The second stage is concern. Why are prices rising? Why are banks nervous? Why are countries trading without dollars? The third stage is fear. Is my money safe? Should I move it? What do I trust? And the fourth stage is replacement. New systems emerge, old ones weaken, behavior changes. That is the crash. Not fireworks, rewiring. Now the dangerous part. Most people will wait for proof. They will wait until the dollar already lost value, until headlines admit it, until politicians confess it. That is always too late. By the time collapse is obvious, it is irreversible. This is why this moment matters. Right now, the dollar still feels normal. Bills still work. ATMs still function. Stores still price in dollars. That is the calm. But calm is not stability. It is delay. The system is stretched. Debt is rising. Trust is thinning. Alternatives are growing. These forces don't cancel out. They collide, and when they do, the world changes how it measures value. Not in dollars alone, but in things that cannot be printed. The dollar does not vanish. It loses dominance. And that is enough to shake everything. This is not a conspiracy. It is history. Every global currency eventually fades. The British pound did. The Roman denarius did. The Dutch guilder did. No empire keeps the reserve currency forever. The US is not immune, only early. So what replaces it? Not one thing. A new system. Gold and hard assets as anchors. Digital money as rails. Regional currencies as power centers. The dollar becomes one voice instead of the voice. That is the reset. And resets always feel chaotic, but they also create opportunity, because chaos reveals truth. Truth about value, truth about money, truth about trust. The people who survive are not the strongest. They are the most aware. This is why the dollar crash is not just a threat. It is a transition from illusion to reality, from promises to assets, from blind trust to conscious choice. The crash is not the end of money. It is the end of pretending money is free. And when that happens, everything reprices. Your time, your work, your savings, your future. The question is not if this happens. It is who is ready when it does. Because when the world stops trusting the dollar, it will not ask permission. It will move. And once it moves, there is no rewind. There will be two kinds of people. Those who say, I saw this coming, and those who say, how did this happen? This video is the moment between those two futures. The dollar will crash, and something else will rise in its place. Not because people want it, because the system demands it.